everyone, happy Victober to you, and as promised, I am doing a video on my favorite Victorian period dramas. So I'm pretty sure last year I actually even filmed a video on this, and then I don't know what it is, somehow it just didn't end up. So I'm hoping you are seeing this right now, and that means that I put it up. So I have a substantial list here. I have 20 of them. So I will just get right down to it. And the first is Larkrise to Candleford. This is a TV series that has 4 seasons to it, 4 glorious seasons. This is by far one of the most family-friendly period dramas out there. It's so good. And it is inspired by the book by Flora Thompson. The book by Flora Thompson feels much more like a history textbook. It's very detail-oriented, telling you about the lives of the townspeople at that time. And most of the plots that they come up with are not in the book, but they took inspiration from it and just did a marvelous job with it. So it's just one of my absolute favorites. There's humor, there's heartache, there's things that are heartwarming, there's things that are really heartbreaking. There is just the beautiful scenery, the costumes, just lovely, lovely, lovely. It's hard for any day to be really awful if I watch some Larkrise to Candleford. Next on the list is Wives and Daughters, my favorite Victorian novel, one of my favorite period dramas. I thought the casting was just lovely. Francesca Ennis, who plays Hyacinth, just gets her down to a T. Kind of makes you sympathetic. She reels you in, to be sympathetic, and then she does things and you're just like, oh, you're such an irritating character. Yes. And then also the actor who, I can't remember his name, but who plays Dr. Gibson, I also thought just got that character down perfectly. Next on the list is North and South. This is a very popular Victorian period drama, but for good reason. It's done so well, and just this really, you feel kind of lonely at first when you're in the town of Milton, and it's just really good at portraying kind of this lonely, cold feeling of it, and gradually you get to know it more and kind of like it more. Next is Cranford. All the Elizabeth Gaskell period drama adaptations are so good, so hopefully they will make maybe Ruth and Sylvia's Lovers, and then is there another? Oh, and Mary Barton. Mary Barton I think would make a spectacular period drama. Anyhow, Cranford. Cranford is taken from the book Cranford, Dr. Harrison's Confessions, My Lady Ludlow, and then maybe one other one, and they put them all together into one magnificent period drama. Just kidding, there's 2, because there's Cranford and Return to Cranford. I in general prefer Cranford, just the different plot elements in it, and it was the first one that I saw. Something about it I just really love, but there's so much plot that is packed into this period drama. I always forget just how much happens. So I definitely recommend it. Just a really nice balance between serious, humorous, sad parts. There are some really sad things that happen in it, but it ultimately does have a pretty hopeful ending. And just if you love period dramas, watch this. If you haven't, you really, really need to. I'm pretty sure this one is on Amazon Prime. It hops around between Amazon Prime and Netflix. Next is The Moonstone, and I'm 90% sure this is still on Amazon Prime. This was a miniseries that came out in 2017, and it is fabulous, and it is just based on Wilkie Collins' novel, The Moonstone, and is, what do I want to, there's a very, lively atmosphere to it. It's done so pristinely. And I really loved the way they handled having multiple narrators, which can be kind of tricky to translate that to film, but they did a really excellent job with that. And yes, just so well done. They didn't try to change too much about it. It's really excellent, and I recommend it. Next on the list is Middlemarch. This is a miniseries that came out in the 90s. You can see a lot of love for the novel of Middlemarch in this. The man they cast for Casaubon is so perfect. They just do his hair and makeup to where you are just feeling so sorry for Dorothea for marrying him. Yes, so the casting is excellent. It's a really long one. I think this one is around 6 hours. It's very long, but they have a lot to include, so you can see why they make it as long as they do. The next is The Way We Live Now. And for those of you David Suchet as Hercule Poirot fans, this is a really neat way to see him as somebody totally different. He's kind of this new money type guy, and he is a really interesting character, and that you're not really sure, like, where has his money come from? Where did you get all of this? You know, what aren't you telling us exactly? But he makes it very clear he wants to toss his daughter into society and to marry her well. And it's really neat to see David Suchet play someone else. And yes, it's just excellent. Next is Dr. Thorne. Julian Fellows of Downton Abbey fame was the creator of this. And it makes me want him to do the rest of the Barchester Chronicles, because this is so good, and I am really interested. I would be so interested to see the other ones done. Yeah, just very charming in the way that Anthony Trollope's Dr. Thorne is, and I definitely recommend it. It is a Amazon Prime original, so you could watch it on Amazon Prime if you haven't. Next is The Life and Adventures of Nicholas Nickleby. This is put on by Acorn Media, and it's so good. It's so good, and not as well known as far as period dramas go. I first saw it on YouTube. I'm not sure if it's on YouTube anymore, but I really, really love this one. Charles Dance is as creepy as ever, playing Uncle, and yeah, it's just really, really good. Okay, then Oliver Twist. This is the 2008, I'm pretty sure is the year. And Tom Hardy plays Bill Sikes. He's really good as Bill Sikes. He's real creepy. I really love the story of Oliver Twist. I know people who don't like Dickens, like really don't like Oliver Twist, but it was my first Dickens to read, and so I am incredibly fond of it. And I just love Nancy. I find Fagin to be a fascinating character. The Bumbles are just like so cringe, but they really, yes, they're so good. And yeah, I definitely recommend this version. And also the soundtrack is very similar to the Sherlock Holmes movies with Robert Downey Jr. This soundtrack is very different and kind of not your typical period drama soundtrack, but I really, really love them. Then more Dickens. Dickens is just very, I think that his plots, his books make for a great miniseries. And next is Little Dorrit, which actually is a Dickens novel I didn't enjoy as much. And this one is around 8 hours. I think it's 8 hours. So you've got a lot of good material to go if you haven't seen it. It's about Amy Dorrit, who lives in the Marshalsea prison, which is a debtor's prison, and she ventures out to kind of try to earn them a little bit of money to help support them. But it's just such a good period drama. Next is Bleak House. And I think one of the things that makes me love this period drama so much is the casting for Lady Dedlock and Esther Summerson. These two women pull off these characters that I think you can make kind of boring, but they really do them justice, and yeah, just do such a good job as these characters. This is another one that's very long. I think it's around 8 hours, and it's so good. I think very worth your time. After reading the book, I then watched the movie, and I was still very happy with it. So I think that speaks volumes about how a period drama is. Next on the list is A Christmas Carol. So you might not be in the mood for it yet, but maybe tuck this information away for Christmas time. And the Christmas Carol I'm talking about is the one with Patrick Stewart. And this is, I don't know if I've ever like run into somebody else who's seen this one. It was a made for TV one in, I think it was made in the States. Anyhow, it's just the other ones that I've seen, like Jim Carrey's A Christmas Carol, I feel like is like way over the top and just this is like a bread and butter version of it. It's just like the basic storyline, which I think the storyline of A Christmas Carol is just so wonderful. So that would be why I'd, be totally down with a more basic version of it. It's just so good. And I really do recommend it. Patrick Stewart does a great portrayal of Ebenezer Scrooge. It's a wonderful, wonderful one. I haven't watched it for several years, so I really need to do that. Next is a nice short and sweet one, and that is Under the Greenwood Tree by Thomas Hardy. This is one that unfortunately I liked the period drama better than the book. The book is very, very short, and I know amongst Hardy fans, they're like, yeah, it's not his best work. So it takes this nice little plot that's able to fit into a couple of hundred pages and makes it into a really lovely period drama about this small town. And there's a new school teacher in the town. The school teacher's named Fancy Day. And she kind of sweeps some of the gentlemen in the town off their feet. And she's having to navigate between all of these suitors. And yes, it's just very lovely for those who love period dramas. Next is Lorna Doone. This one, because of just how plot heavy it is, it translates incredibly well to a very action-packed period drama. I love the woodland setting for this. I recommend it. Pretty sure it's on YouTube if you are interested in watching it. If not, I'm also pretty sure I've seen it on Amazon Prime, actually. Next is The Young Sherlock Holmes. This is a film that came out in the 80s. It is not based specifically on a Sherlock Holmes book. So if you are a Sherlock Holmes purist, I don't know if you will enjoy this. But if you like a good pacey mystery, this one's very good. I was incredibly creeped out as a child when I watched it. There are hallucinations, like scenes of hallucinations involved, and some of them are like incredibly vivid and incredibly haunting and kind of the character's worst fears. And it was just, it has some really creepy parts to it, but it's done so well and really, every time I watch it, I'm just really wondering if things are going to end well. Yes, so good. I want to watch it right now as I'm talking about it. I love this movie. Okay, next is The Inheritance. This is a Louisa May Alcott, so I am hopping over the pond for this one, but since these are movies and not for Victober reading, I'm recommending this. This is based on Louisa May Alcott's really short novel, which I think, unfortunately, the movie kind of is better. I don't know how else to say it. But it's about, the main character is Edith, and she lives with this family, and she's kind of higher up than the servant. The family took her in when she was a baby, and so she's kind of higher up than the servants, but she's not considered an equal with the family by society. The family doesn't feel that way though. And so it's about her relationships with the family, and different characters come to town and she meets them. And yes, it's just really, really excellent and very sweet, and a very short one in under 2 hours. So a short, easy one you could fit in. Then A Little Princess, but not the, not the Shirley Temple one, and not the one that came out when millennials were children. The one that came out in the 80s. And this is around 4 hours, I think. It just does such a great job, and unfortunately ruined me for the book. I tried reading the book for middle grade March, and I just did not find the character of Sarah appealing. And the miniseries covers everything that's in the book, and so I just am content just watching the miniseries. And endings in the Shirley Temple one and the one that came out in the 90s are actually different than the true ending of the book. And the ending in this miniseries that I love is the ending of the actual book. So yes, definitely a really good period drama, and I like that they take so long to tell the story, and I think they really do it justice. Those are all of the my favorite Victorian period dramas. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know what your favorite Victorian period dramas are. So I hope at the end of a long Victober day, when you feel that your brain has just had enough of reading for the day and you just want to relax and sit back with something Victorian, maybe one of these period dramas will be just what the doctor ordered. I will be back for another Victober video soon. Have a lovely day.